Today I'm going to show you how to save both time and money on the things you do in your kitchen every day. I'm going to show you my top 10 kitchen hacks. Okay, our very first kitchen hack is one that I use all the time. Do you ever cook with shredded meats? Shredded chicken, shredded beef, shredded pork? Well, if you do, this is going to save you so much time and your fingers from getting sore. Because if you're like me, I grew up shredding meats with 2 little forks in a bowl and it took forever and I had hand cramps by the end of it. Whereas this way, it's going to be done in seconds. You'll believe me when you see it. Okay, so what I've got here is my Instant Pot. Is my favorite way. I'm gonna show you how to shred chicken. This is my favorite way to very quickly cook chicken so it's perfectly shreddable. And for instructions on how to do this, check out the caption below. We have all the tips for you on fedandfit.com. And I'm gonna show you how to do it 2 different ways. So the first way is using your stand mixer. Did you get one when you got married and you haven't used it since? I use my stand mixer 100 times more often for shredded meats than I do for baked goods. It sits on the counter so I can shred meat. And what I want you to get out is this is called the paddle attachment, okay? So it's flat, right? It just has these couple little bars. Don't use the whisk. If you use the whisk, you'll have chicken paste. Nobody wants chicken paste. So you're gonna get out the paddle attachment and pop it on, pretty easy. Lock your stand mixer into place if you have one with a lever like this. I don't at home. The one that I have at home is very, very basic. And then I'm just gonna turn it on low. You might have a hand mixer, and this also works really well. Put your chicken in the bowl and get your hand mixer ready, and then I just like to kind of pre-poke down into the chicken breast to start breaking it up. You don't want to over shred, but just kind of run it over those big pieces, and poof, you're done. This next tip is one of my favorites, and when I figured it out, I felt like the whole world opened up before me because I used to waste salad greens. So tip number 2 is how to get even more life out of your salad greens. So if you get these big old tubs like I do, at the start of the week, you're so ambitious. You're like, I'm gonna eat salad every day of the week. And then Thursday rolls around and you're like, oh no, I haven't had any salads. And you open up the box without giving yourself one of those dreaded plastic cuts. Have you ever had one of those? Careful, dangerous. This is where I get them. So you open up your salad greens and you give it a whiff, and it's not good. It doesn't smell great. Or you look at the bottom of it and it's starting to look a little goopy down here, right? That's not good either. And you think, man, 4 days and it's already bad. So here's how we're going to save the life. I can get 2 weeks. Believe me, I can get 2 weeks out of the life of my salad greens with this one little tip. So I actually keep mine in the bin that I buy it in. All you need are paper towels. I like to double ply it. So I get 2 paper towels and I fold it in half so it's double layered. Open up my salad greens as soon as I get home from the grocery store, and I just lay this right here on top. Look, it fits perfectly. Close it and then store it like that. And so the moisture will work its way down into the paper towel, and when you're ready to eat it, you just open this up. The paper towel will be damp, don't worry about it. Get your nice, crispy, dry salad greens for the next 2 weeks, and you won't be wasting that money anymore. Tip number 3 is how to get even more life out of your fresh herbs. So if you're like me also, you always buy fresh herbs when you go to the grocery store, and then they become sad herbs in the veggie drawer in your refrigerator because you don't use them right away. I'm saying you, I mean me. Now, what I've done to rework that and get way more life out of my herbs is to store them in a little jar with a little bit of water in the refrigerator, and this helps a lot. You could also keep them on the countertop, truly, but I found that they stay a little bit more crisp if they're in the fridge. And so all you need to do is take a mason jar or a cup, whatever you've got handy, fill it about halfway up with water, and then you're going to take your herbs, this is fresh cilantro, and as best you can, try to pull off the little leaves, clean up the bottom of it, because just like flowers, when you're putting flowers in water, have you ever heard that when there's leaves and things down on the bottom of the stem, it'll create kind of a murky water situation, and that's just not good. And so what we're gonna do is just clean up those leaves down at the bottom, and then plop that and use this on your salad or shrimp tacos for lunch. Use it up right away. This has already been washed and dried. I guess that's an important note to call out. So once you get all this kind of roughly cleaned up, just put it right in the jar, just like that. And you will get so much more time and mileage out of your herbs. Tip number 4, if you've ever fried bacon, you know that it renders a lot of liquid fat off of the bacon. And I don't want you to throw that away because it's going to not only add a whole bunch of flavor to your future meal using that bacon fat to cook other things in it, but you're also going to save yourself some money. Instead of using the butter or the olive oil or the other fats that you buy from the store, you get to use this that was rendered off of something else that you used. Isn't that so handy? So I'm going to show you how I save my bacon fat. First, we've fried up some bacon. It's a good day in the kitchen. And what I've got here is this skillet full of liquid bacon. Now this is hot, but not bubbling over hot right now. I would let it have a minute to cool down. And then I want you to get a glass jar. Ideally, oh, I have cilantro in my hand. Ideally a tempered glass jar, so this means something that's not going to crack under a whole bunch of extreme temperatures, right? And so that's what this one will work just fine. It's the same one I use at home. And we're gonna do is take this skillet and just pour it right into the jar. As it cools, and I usually just leave it right on my countertop and it cools just throughout the day, it will become a little bit opaque and more solid, a lot like butter. It'll kind of have the consistency and look of butter, just a slightly different hint. And I just keep it right here next to my stove and I cook with it. I'll show you in a second. I'm gonna make some potatoes for you. Tip number 5 is a leftover veggie bowl that you're going to use to make an end of week soup or stew or meat sauce. This is one of my personal favorite hacks in the kitchen because I feel so much less wasteful this way. So in my house, if I'm making dinner, let's say for just myself and my girls, instead of cooking up, let's say the entire bag of green beans, we really only need half of it. And then what happens to this other half of the green beans? I put it in the refrigerator, just like this, and I think, oh, I'll chop up some and put it on a salad one day, or maybe I'll steam them for dinner another day this week, and that never happens. I never use it, and then it turns into sad, goopy green beans in my veggie drawer. The same goes for mushrooms, sad, goopy mushrooms, potatoes, where I didn't need the entire bag, or that other half of an onion. And instead of just putting this in the fridge and letting it expire and throwing it all away at the end of the week and feeling terrible about it, we can use it to make something really good. So what I like to do is I call it my leftover veggie bowl. This bowl sits in my refrigerator on a shelf like this, and I toss stuff in it all week long. So on Monday, when I steam those veggies and I use half the bag, instead of just putting this other leftover bag in the veggie bowl drawer, I put them in the veggie bowl right there, and it just sits there in the refrigerator just like that. And then the next day, when I make chili, and I don't like fresh onion on my chili, but my husband does. He'll eat about half of an onion on his chili, and then the other half just turns into a sad onion in my refrigerator. And so I give it a really quick chop before I've put up the cutting board that day and toss it in to the bowl. Don't worry about mixing it all up. And then on Wednesday, when I'm making mushrooms, because my girls, for whatever reason, love mushrooms, but they don't need the whole batch, so they never eat all of it. And then the likelihood of us eating the leftovers is way less. And so I keep it like this and then just toss the rest of those mushrooms right into the bowl. Same goes for these fingerling potatoes. We don't need the whole bag. And before they go bad, instead of just putting them in the pantry or in the refrigerator, I cut them in half until they're kind of usable. I don't know what I'm using it for yet, right? But I'm just gonna kind of roughly prep them, cut them into semi-bite-sized pieces, and toss all those potatoes, the little ones don't need to be cut, right into the bowl. Then, at the end of the week, when you have all your leftover veggies just sitting there in the refrigerator, I like to pick the day. So Fridays are pizza nights and Saturdays are mystery dinners. And I grab my veggie bowl and this turns into, maybe it's a soup, right? So I'll start a big pot and I will put some olive oil or some butter in there, and then I just sprinkle in my vegetables, and then add the broth, and then add whatever meat I'm cooking, or maybe leftover meat that I've got in the refrigerator, and let it come to a simmer and make a really yummy soup. Always add lemon if you want to make a really good soup at the end. Another option is a really yummy meat sauce. You know, so maybe the potatoes, I wouldn't have done a meat sauce with the potatoes in there, but everything else would be great, right? So a red sauce for pasta, put them in the same big pot, cook them down until they're really nice and soft, add the red sauce, add the ground meat, cook it up, let it simmer. It's all gonna be really delicious, and then you have bonus vegetables in your red meat sauce to serve over top of spaghetti. I hope this tip comes to serve you as well as it served my family. Tip number 6, this one is an ode to all of my fellow cooks out there who have spent too many years when you wanted to crumble ground meat, right? I'm gonna show you ground beef today, but maybe it's ground turkey, chicken, pork, you name it, and you put it in the skillet and you sit there with your little spatula and you just poke what feels like for minutes on end. That doesn't sound very long, but it feels long when you're trying to break up the little pieces of meat one at a time using a spoon or a spatula. And you thought, gosh, there's gotta be a better way. There is, and you only need this little gadget. Now, there are some folks out there watching this who I'm sure maybe you're a fan of. I know other companies make meat cutters and mashers and all that stuff. I am a pretty utilitarian, minimalistic kitchen gal myself. I don't like single-use gadgets. I prefer to grab like a very basic potato masher and make magic happen with it. Ground meat is in our skillet. I've got it over medium-high heat. And like I said, just a very basic potato masher. I don't like anything fancier than this because the kinds of mashers that have little bitty holes, for example, then you have to clean out those little bitty holes, and that's such a nightmare. I just want the really simple little S-shaped like that. And with our chunk of meat in here, I just give it a few mashes. The beauty of this little simple tool is just a quick shake and it's pretty much clean. And so I will just let this meat sit here and cook, and then once it's cooked on one side, I'll go in and mash it again so it flips over, and then you're done. So much faster than this little gadget where you just kind of poke in and stab until it's all totally cooked through. I don't have time for that. And I'm doing it because it's old habit, but it takes so much more time than just a few quick smashes. Tip number 7, make sure that when you get your groceries home from the grocery store, they're going to be as usable for you as possible. So let's say you went to the store, you know that you want to make something with carrots later that week, or something with potatoes or broccoli, and you have the best intention behind it all, and you put it all in the refrigerator, and then when you open up the veggie drawer, we focus on the veggie drawer a lot. It's a point of frustration and pain in my house apparently, and I've been trying to work around it for so long, and I feel like I've got it. You open the veggie drawer and you see the bag of carrots and you think, ugh, I don't have it in me to cut those carrots right now. Never mind. We're not gonna make the thing with the carrots, we're gonna make something else that's easier because it's been a day. But what if when you got home from the grocery store, maybe it's Sunday, you get home from the grocery store, you've got a little pep in your step, you're feeling good. If you have kids at home, the kids are happy, they're playing, who knows, they're being great. You have a little extra time. You think, I'm gonna chop those carrots right now. Do it as soon as you have the time and the energy, or I like to do it right when I get home from the store and then put them into a mason jar. And this way, when the time comes to make that dish with the carrots, you open up the fridge and they're already chopped for you. You're not going to talk yourself out of it. You're going to think, oh, thank you, past me. Love, future me. Open it up and sprinkle them into whatever dish you're going to make. Other things this works great for: broccoli, other cruciferous vegetables, washed, chopped, already in the jar, ready for you. Of course, you can buy pre-chopped broccoli, but if you're looking to save a few pennies, do it yourself. Potatoes, that's another really great one you can do. This would be great. How nice is that for breakfast in the morning? Instead of having to get out the cutting board and chop everything up and make crispy breakfast potatoes, it's already ready for you. And then my favorites to do this with are onion and garlic, because I need onion and garlic in about everything I cook. Everything needs onion and garlic. And instead of getting out a cutting board and chopping it all by scratch or having to go through the effort of peeling all of the garlic, I've already got it pre-chopped and pre-minced. And so all I have to do is open up my little jar of garlic and grab a spoonful, put it in the skillet and close it and walk away. You're gonna save yourself so much time, and you're gonna talk yourself out of making dishes less often. I hope that makes sense. Tip number 8 is how to make a meal bin so that dinner time, again, is easier on you and everything's already organized. So here's what we're gonna do. You get home from the grocery store, and let's say if you're a meal planner like I am, right? And the meal planning makes my world go round. It makes everything so much easier than just grabbing a bunch of foods and seeing what happens throughout the week. If I've got a plan, then a homemade dinner is so much more likely. And also, it's so much less stressful and more affordable because I buy exactly what I need versus things that I may or may not use. So you get home from the grocery store, and this is probably the time that you remember what all the groceries are for, right? Before I even go in the house, I usually stop by my freezer and I grab the meat that I know I'm going to need if I didn't have to buy it fresh. And so I pulled out my frozen ground pork. I have some green enchilada sauce, some corn tortillas, avocado. Can you guess what we're making? Some chipotles in adobo, and some corn and some beans. And I know this is going to, I also have some tomatoes. I'm going to use those for another dish. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to have a taco night, right? And I have a couple of things. I'm going to grab some spices out of my spice drawer. So I know that I'm going to need my taco blend for this dinner. And so I know everything that was going to work together. I say, before you put your groceries up, before you open up your pantry and you very diligently put the beans with the beans and the corn with the corn and the sauces with the sauces, I say keep it all together for the meal that you're actually going to use it. Because think ahead, on Tuesday, when it's Taco Tuesday and you're ready to make dinner, you're gonna have to get all this out again together anyways, right? It's all gonna have to be together, and then you're gonna have to go hunt for everything. You have to say, oh my gosh, the black beans. I got the black beans for this meal. Oh yeah, that's right, there was corn. And oh yeah, there's that green enchilada sauce. So let's go ahead and keep everything together. Use what I call a meal bin. It doesn't have to be a plastic bin like this. It can be a bag, a shopping bag. It can be a paper bag, whatever you've got. A box from a shipment that came in, but keep everything together. This is also when I like to take my frozen meat and put it right in there with it so it has time to thaw in the refrigerator with the other ingredients. I even put my dry seasoning in my meal bin because, again, I want to cut down on the rummage time. The time where I have to go find everything and remember what goes in this dish. It's all here. So that when I'm ready, even pantry items, keep them in here. The can of beans, we're putting it in the refrigerator. So that on Tuesday, when I'm ready to make my tacos, I pull this bin out and everything's together and ready, and it's gonna save so much time and mental energy to do just that. So put your groceries together as meals when you get home from the store. Okay, for tip number 9, this one goes out to all of my fellow mothers of young children because dinner time can be really, really challenging, right? For whatever reason, it seems to line up that time of the day with when my kids need me the most, and I have one hand. It never fails. I set them up with their favorite game, their favorite toy, something, and inevitably they want me to hold them while I'm trying to pull dinner together. And so when I'm thinking about dinner, I'm thinking, what can I do with one hand? And that's not a whole lot, right? Because getting out really heavy pots, opening the doors and pulling these open, unchild-proofing the doors in my kitchen, for example, it's a two-handed activity. And so my tip is to get the things done with two hands while you have two hands and set up everything, your pots, your pans, pre-measure the rice, pre-get the broccoli ready to go to be steamed, all that ready to go so that all you have to do is turn on the stove come dinner time. It's going to be so much easier for you, and you're going to be so thankful when you do it. So the first thing that I like to do, for example, this is a pretty typical dinner for our family, start to finish, very simple. Let's say I'm gonna pan sear some steaks on the stove. I've got my skillet out, and so that's ready to go. So all I have to do is pull the steaks out of the refrigerator when I'm ready to make dinner. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-measure and get my rice ready. So I've got this little pot, it's my favorite pot to cook rice in, and a cup is what my family goes through in an evening. So I measure off my cup of rice. You can rinse your rice, technically I should, but we don't have the time. That's not the point of this video. It's fast. So I've got my cup of rice, pour it right into the pot, and then this gets set onto the stove. I'm gonna pour the water in, put the lid on, so that literally all I have to do is turn on the stove come whatever the time is to get dinner ready. And then steaming the vegetables. I like to steam in the microwave. It's easy, hands off. So I've got my pre-chopped broccoli, which I showed you earlier. I'm going to pour that right into this glass bowl. Put a touch of water on top to help steam and keep everything nice and soft. And then saran wrap on the top. Christmas saran wrap. Because I ordered a lot of it and it'll take us years to use up all of this bright green Christmas saran wrap. Put it right on top. And then literally what I like to do with this steamed broccoli, it weirds my husband out when he comes home from work because he opens up the microwave and he's like, you have a bowl of broccoli in the microwave. I said, yes, it's there. Leave it there. I put it there at 3 p.m. and I needed to stay there until 5:30 when I'm ready to press the number 4 button for 4 minutes. And so I literally put this just like this in the microwave to sit for 3 hours until I'm ready to cook it. And then dinner just happens. It's so much easier. It feels like so much more of a downhill ride. Tip number 10, and this is the one that I'm probably the most proud of, that I use the most, that makes the biggest difference in helping me get a faster, easier dinner on the table more frequently, and that is to dinner fix my dinners. And the concept is that we make one big meal. So let's say we roast an entire salmon fillet, and I only need half of that for this first meal. My family's only going to need half of it. The other half I'm going to repurpose into another dinner that's even faster and easier and more delicious to pull together because it's not just leftovers. It's, as my friend Michelle Tam says, is bestovers. And all of these, this is the entire concept behind Cook One's Dinner Fix, which is my 3rd book. It's a New York Times bestseller. Hot dang, what do you know? And so this is straight out of the seafood chapter I'm going to show you today. This is one of my favorite dinner series in the book. So we do just that. We roast an entire fillet of salmon, which is a really great way to save some money, right? Buying the whole hog, so to speak, right? The whole chicken, the whole thing of salmon. The less work that the butcher or the folks at the grocery store have to do for you to prepare your food, the more affordable it's going to be. So here we go. I'm serving this up with just some simple roasted potatoes, and I'm going to slice this and get this dinner all nice and ready. Let's be honest. That's like the serving for my 2-year-old. I'm probably eating double that amount. But here you go. This is just for the visual. So we've got our salmon dinner for night number 1. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the rest of this salmon? We're going to break it up and turn it into salmon cakes. Super simple. The recipe for these salmon cakes in the salmon you can find in Cook One's Dinner Fix, which is that book I just showed you. It's available everywhere books are sold. So what I'm doing is I am just, let's say this is leftover. I stored it in the refrigerator, or you could do this the same night. Before you just put this leftover salmon up in the fridge, go ahead and pre-prepare your salmon cakes. So I'm just going to flake this salmon with my fork. Get it all broken up. This is like the best way to make salmon cakes, is with the actual roasted salmon. And then in this bowl is everything that's going to make it come together. So we've got egg in here, some flour, some other really yummy things, all kinds of yummy things. And I'm just going to put my roasted salmon right in with these other ingredients. Okay, so I'm just mixing up that salmon with the rest of the salmon cake ingredients until it's really nice and incorporated. Into a large skillet over medium-high heat, we're going to add some olive oil. I'm using a nonstick skillet, but the oil really helps get that nice brown crust I'm looking for. Skillet is nice and hot. Our salmon cakes are nice and mixed. I'm just going to scoop them into little patties. Depending on how much salmon you have, your batter might be a little wet, a little more dry. It all depends. There's a lot of variables at play, but they're going to be delicious. Kind of like a pancake. I'm just going to fry these until they're golden crispy on one side, flip them over, get them golden crispy on the other, and then serve them up as a totally different meal with some steamed green beans. Sounds really yummy. I hope that was helpful. So go ahead and dinner fix your dinners. I showed you with salmon, you can do this with ground beef. Get 3 pounds of ground beef, crumble it all at once, and split it up. Have taco night one night, and then make a really yummy Greek-style flavored casserole the next night. You could also do this with a whole roasted chicken. Roast an entire chicken and enjoy a delicious fresh roasted chicken dinner on night 1 with some fresh roasted vegetables. And then on night 2, shred the rest of that leftover chicken and turn it into an Asian inspired dish like sesame chicken. All of those dishes are in Cook Once Dinner Fix. For more, the video on your screen right now is another example of how I'm transforming one fabulous dinner into an entirely different dinner another day, all straight from Cook Once Dinner Fix. Click it right now.